updates, viewers. We are continuing our conversations this morning with the director of T.E.M.A, Mr. Allan Stewart, as we continue to talk about the readiness for Carnival. So, Mr. Stewart, would you say that we are ready for Carnival in terms of
Yes,
safety standpoint?
That's right. We are up to marks in terms of we are just putting final pieces into place, but we are ready. Along with the Bull Commander and all of our stakeholders, we are ready to do this thing. Yeah.
All right, great. And of course, viewers, if you end up at Carnival and you need any assistance at all, of course, you got to look out for the T.E.M.A tents. They're going to be there.
Yes, so the venue operations center will have a medical post at Shore Park as well. That will be the overarching layer on the Carnival festivities led by the Bull Commander. Also at the FCD car park, as said earlier on, we will have the joint command post set up at that location with an advanced medical post. Along the Claude Noel Highway, we will have a medical post with an ambulance station there as well for persons who may need those services, and those services can come as a result of things that can happen along the path of the Carnival. Yes, so there is always a possibility of injuries. These risk factors are very common, and also we want to pay attention to the health factors as well. You know, food will be on sale, and there will be those officers that will be out there to ensure that people are preparing food in a safe manner, and also the distribution. Your responsibility as consumers is to ensure that when you approach a vendor, he's properly badged, and therefore you know definitely what you're eating. You know, things like that. Yeah.
All right, great. Now, and I wanted to also bring into something that happened yesterday was that donation of a 40-bed field hospital as well as an ambulance. And how will that, well, first of all, tell us about that donation and how did that come about being, and where did it come from?
Yeah, this is an initiative that began somewhere during COVID-19 in 2020. We started these talks with the U.S. government, and therefore those talks are through the embassy at Trinidad, the U.S. embassy at Trinidad, and U.S. Southcom was very gracious in allowing that procurement process to be as easy as possible. And when I say procurement, I don't want you to take it in the literally, but we're talking about a donation here of a 40-bed quick response field hospital, Western shelter design, the best in the business in terms of its quality, and therefore it allows us to continue to build our capacity where resilience is concerned. This field hospital come at a hefty cost. The entire package is something just over $3 million TT dollars. Also in the package, we also have an ambulance, which our CERT technicians will be able to, when they are performing duties in the rurals of the communities across Tobago, they are able to provide that type of ambulatory service through the use of this ambulance. This ambulance is very well outfitted. It's very modernized in terms of its capacity and its ability to get into these rural areas across Tobago, and also events, you know, and incidents that sometimes, because of the location of CERT in the community, sometimes they get to the scene very quickly, but sometimes in the past we have to transport patients sometimes in the back of pickups, which is not really a healthy practice. And therefore we welcome the donation. We welcome these additional devices which will allow, especially when you look at the field hospital. During the pandemic, we would have seen one of our shelters, similar type, not a Western shelter, but a design shelter out of Canada, would have been on display, utilized by the. We saw that happen in previous incidents as well. Yeah. So these type of infrastructure become very important. You look at the world today as what is happening. You see the threat of violence and extremism. Terrorism, counterterrorism measures are very important. So therefore, allowing us to have that capacity on the island, whereby not just through those anthropogenic actions by human beings, but also you could have a major earthquake event that can disrupt our infrastructure, those physical infrastructure, and therefore you can see the need and the necessity to bring such field hospital into operation. It comes with the 40-bed facilities. It could take care of, patients. Also, it could be used as a means of a PICS, a portable isolation containment system, where you can have negative pressure and positive pressure where patients are concerned based on the type of disease that you're treating with and things like that. So it is self-contained and powered, self-powered, things like that. And to me, the appurtenances that it came with are very well up to state of the art, and we are very grateful to the U.S. government and through SOCOM for allowing us to have this to build resilience on the island of Tobago.
Will we see the ambulance in action for the Tobago Carnival?
Yes, they will be there. The ambulance will be there, and also one of the shelters. It's a modular type shelter, so we have 4 major shelters, one of which will be extracted, which is a 33 feet by 19 feet in terms of its length and width, and also a 20 by 20 will be utilized at the facility at the old FCB car park, which that will make your advanced medical post, and will come with all of the bells ringing to it to allow the doctors and the nurses to perform in an area of comfort, like comfort suite, comfort, and certainly we look forward to that.
So what does that bring us now in terms of, the apparatus that T.E.M.A has to respond to emergencies where there is mass casualties? I know that there were previous field hospitals or something similar to what we got yesterday. So just tell us about, our readiness where those things are concerned.
Well, technically, we have about 90, right now at this moment, we have over 96 beds capacity for field operations on the ground in terms of the shelters, acquisition, and things like that. It allows for a bit of robustivity in our operations, and it builds our resilience level in that it gives us the capacity that is needed, especially when these type of incidents occur. It allows for the actors and the performance within such a theater to be very comfortable in their space, and also give them that feel as that field hospital experience. One of the things that Carnival over the years have allowed our first responders in the medical field to have that experience as to what is. And let me tell you something as a result of that, because we have been doing that since 2005, Kandace. And, a remark was made by the Western Shelter facilitator, Mr. Otis. He said, Jamaica seems to have had the record. Tobago has now broke the record in first time they have seen in all his 15 installations that he would have done, that's entire infrastructure that you saw yesterday was set up in one single day. And that comes from a degree of constant training and experience in this area. Billing competency is a very important thing, and I want to thank the logistics team especially, who led the entire operations in terms of site. That is their responsibility, and led by their supervisor. They did a fantastic job. So it was a 3-day training. Today is supposed to be the last day, but it seems that today will be the mop-up in terms of the ability. One of the things that goes along with it is how you deploy it, how you operationalize it, and how you store it, very important. And the storage part of it, viewers, are the most important element. We're going into some tactics now in terms of, if you want to be ready for the next event, your storage have to be proper in terms of where you put what in the cases and things like that, and also the care that comes along with it. So these are some of the issues that are being taught at this training session that is on today.
And of course, I mean, this is wonderful to hear in a situation where we in this country have a major problem when it comes to maintenance.
Certainly.
And the longevity of our apparatus, whether it be national security, whether it be in whatever field, right? So it is a really great news to hear that T.E.M.A, it seems to be leading the way in terms of how we treat with the maintenance of what we have.
Yeah, it speaks strongly to the UN goals when you speak about sustainable development.
Yes.
It's an important characteristic in that regard. You want to make sure that you acquire things, but how do you, is it sustained? After 10 years, I went back to 2000, I told you about 2005, but we have been utilizing these assets since 2003 to be exact. This is when we started with the other type shelter.
Yes.
So we are acquainted with it. Continuous trainings is very, very important for that longevity of the assets. You have to maintain them properly, and more importantly, you have to exercise them. And these set up for Carnival over the years, over some 2005 to now, allow for that level of competency, prudent handling, and people build direct integrity. You have come away with a situation where the brain function in that way, where you practice it, you throw somebody in the sea once they could swim, you don't have to think how to swim. It's like playing the guitar or riding a bike. You never forget. And this is what I'm seeing coming out of our practitioners here on the island in first responders, because we collaborate with them. The fire service was there, the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, reserves, members of also the Coast Guard, and CERT technicians, CERT 1000 as well. And it builds capacity for the island. I feel very comfortable leading those charges when you know that they are so ready that if something were to happen, they are able to be deployed, they are able to effect and respond adequately to the threat.
Yes, and Mr. Stewart, we can't always prepare for, or we can't always anticipate when a major disaster is going to come, but we can always do something about how we respond. And T.E.M.A has been leading the way, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the Caribbean, in terms of how we prepare and what we have in place, what systems we established beforehand, so that when something does, in the event that something does happen, T.E.M.A can go into action.
Yeah, I remember many years ago, that was the time around 2012 when T.E.M.A was certified as Diamond Standard through the that Ministry of Public Administration. And I remember an ad that spoke to that. It said, it's not what happened, but how you respond to it. That is the key. We could talk about mitigation, preparedness, but things hit the fan. And when it hit the fan, it requires a particular type of response that is equal to the threat itself.
Yes. And so how are things in terms of the other apparatus that T.E.M.A has in terms of making sure that those things are up to standard? Or is there anything else that is needed right now that would enhance the preparedness?
I always pay attention when the media asks me certain questions. What is happening? We have been, we are part of the OCS. Yes. We are part of the Tobago House of Assembly, and we have our own challenges as well. And one of those challenges had to be with our motorization of our fleet. Our fleet is very aged. So we have a very aging fleet. We have a very aging infrastructure, and therefore that have its own challenges. I was very pleased, extremely pleased, that I heard the Chief Secretary yesterday announce, he whispered in my ears a date, you will be getting your vehicles on so and so and so month. And I was very pleased about that. I know the process is like 95% completed. The type of procurement measures that they took was very thorough, and it allows for a ready-to-use operation. So when those 3 vehicles are presented to T.E.M.A, they'll be ready for action and to be employed. And this is where we are. I believe that I'm a very optimistic camper in the sense that with those promises, seeing them coming through, I could not be any more to encourage my staff and say things are looking in the right direction. It was also mentioned, the human element is very, very much a major concern for T.E.M.A. I would have coined this thing and I said, it seems as though quantity is the quality.
Yes.
In disaster management, I over the years have recognized that to be true. In the sense, it's like being in business. The more money you have in life too, the more money you have, quantity is quality. You live a quality life, you know. And therefore, our ability to respond speaks to quantities in terms of, do we have what it takes on the ground to carry out our function? And one of that resource is human resource. So we are seeing an increase in salaries and things like that. We have seen things are moving in that direction. Duty allowances, other allowances coming to the picture. I know we complain when things are down. It's important for me to blow that shell when things are on the upside. So staff are a bit comfortable. We are moving in the right direction. Also, the HR of the OCS is working assiduously on the issue as it relates to staffing of CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team. There's in the structure of T.E.M.A, there's a number for close to 48 persons. We are down to almost 50% in terms of our staffing. You know, we train these people and they move off. So the chief secretary cited yesterday at the session, he said, you will not lose your staff anymore because, you know, they are being paid properly, things like that. And that is key. You know, people don't say it, but it's conversation that happens in the corridors. You know, people are not properly paid. You know, as a common saying, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys all the time. So you have to step it up in the corporate world. That is a particular type of language. So in order to have competency at that level, the human resource is critical. And therefore, we'll see an increase in staff as it relates to CERT, the ability to respond and to respond effectively, not just to respond, but effectively with the numbers.
And how are we along the line of the CERT 1,000 strong? I know that was a goal to get 1,000 volunteers on board that we can depend on that time of disaster. How has that been going?
Yeah, this has been an amazing project. You know, I remember when we write up the plan and we took it to it was sent to the Executive Council. Their response to it was very positive. They indicated, but Stewart, you all need to go out and find the money and then we will support it. We definitely will support it. I know as part of the country work program, through the national office, through T.E.M.A, we were able to make some approaches. We made an approach to the EU and the European Union decided to fund the project. And today, those monies are with the Assembly, and we are now able to execute in terms of allowing these persons. Because I will tell you this, it's important that you know this. The response was very, very healthy in the sense that we made this a 5-year project to get 1,000. But I tell you, we need 50% already. There are 500 registrants already.
Wow.
We have started training almost 250 of those persons already. The objective is to prepare again. It goes back to what I said, that quality is in the quantities. And therefore, you are preparing the island of Tobago for such a scenario, what you consider a worst case scenario, where numbers really matters. The everyday workers within the ambits of the services across the island, when you have a major catastrophe, such as what we experienced in 1963, those numbers will not work. You need 1,000 strong, trained people, equipped, ready to go, resourced, and properly tooled in order to respond to such a catastrophe. And that is what we are preparing Tobago for. That is our aim, that is our goal, and we have the Executive Council behind us. The rest of the world is behind us as well. The UN is backing us with all of what we are doing in this Making Cities Smart. They launched it here in Tobago, and they have used us as a catalyst going forward as to how we present from a small island, 300 square kilometers, making a difference in this small space. So we are quite happy as to what is happening there.
And folks, you know, I mean, we hear Mr. Stewart all the time, but we don't realize that how much really goes into making sure that things are really what they say is. And I mean, I could say that Mr. Stewart has been leading the charge and has been doing really well to make sure we are as ready as we can be. I mean,
We try.
you try your best, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean, and we're certainly welcoming all the good news that we are hearing,
Yeah.
that things are coming along and things are improving in terms of our readiness.
Yeah, another thing I want to mention before leaving this platform is our partners. You know, our partners has been very generous, both nationally, externally, regionally, and on the island of Tobago. For example, the TRHA have thrown their support behind us continuously since 2005. The Trinidad and Tobago the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserve, the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, the fire services, and all of these entities, not just and other arms of the Tobago House of Assembly. You know, in order for this to, there's an administrative part of it that makes it happen. We are very blessed that we have a chief administrator who is very adamant in getting things done. So we are enjoying that fillip in the system right now in pushing us forward, and we embraced it. So the other players, the other quiet players, for example, the facilities, the TSTT, the work that they do in regards to surveillance and things like that, how they help law enforcement in that activity is critical. We have the other service providers such as the IQUD, you know, they have issues, the ability to make these bridges between these entities. That is our core role. I don't want the public to see T.E.M.A as the responder. We are not. We have a responding arm, which is CERT, because it's under us.
Yes.
But our main reason and purpose for existing, our mission is very clear. You know, our mission is to direct their efforts towards the maximum preservation of life, the protection of property during times of disaster.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Stewart, for being on. And we're certainly looking forward to seeing that new ambulance out on the road on Saturday and Sunday. And
Saturday
so on.
and Sunday.
All right. Great. Thank you so much. And continue the good work at
Pleasure
T.E.M.A.
is mine. Thanks a lot.
Our viewers are going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.